Anybody home? Jeff, you there?
Dr. Mitchell.
It's you, Struve.
How are you?
All right. Now, well, I started replacing my floor today.
Oh, gee, I forgot about that. Are you at home?
I'm at home, yes.
But they didn't make you unplug your stuff yet?
Some of it, but they mainly worked in my living room and the hallway today. So, holed up in my bedroom for a while and wore a mask all day.
Yeah.
Dust they uncovered is. So, fingers crossed my allergy meds work.
Yeah, I don't know. That might throw quite a bit of dust.
How are you doing?
Oh, a little bit tired. I'm a little bit preoccupied. I ordered a one of the convection oven air fryer things just about 10 minutes ago, and one of the discounts didn't show up, so I'm kind of waiting for the guy on the chat to figure it out. And still thinking about retirement in April, which will be good
Yeah,
if I can afford it.
if you can afford it, yes.
Well, let's see what he says.
Good evening.
Hi, Al. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
All right, a little chaotic here right now. I'm having my rug torn up and replaced with a hardwood floor this week. So,
Oh, that's good. We did that in our house too. We got rid of all the rugs. I think it's better if you have allergies too.
I do have allergies.
Yep.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we replaced most all the carpeting a few years ago too, and yeah, it's easier to keep clean, but it sure is a lot colder and noisier. And I break more things.
Hopefully it's not telescopes.
No, it's dishes. But that's okay. I don't need to eat anymore anyway.
Yeah, it looks like you lost weight.
No, I shaved. I cut the beard. So I guess maybe I did lose maybe 20 or 30 pounds with the beard gone. I don't miss it at all, that's for sure.
Well, they kicked him out of the Oak Ridge Boys. What was he going to do?
Yeah, ZZ Top. Yeah.
Voice wasn't low enough.
Oh, Ellen, while you're here alone, without any other people, isn't there somebody in PAC that bought one of those EV scopes? Did Wayland?
What's an EV scope?
One of those computerized, you set it, stick it out in the yard and it automatically does everything.
Oh yeah, I think well, Roy's got a I
Roy.
think they call it a Stellina.
Oh, shoot, that's what he's got.
It's a Stellina, but I know what you're talking about. It's that same type of thing. It's completely integrated. Everything, the camera and everything is contained within it.
Yeah, with all the hype, I went ahead and bought a Stellina, and it's supposed to be here Wednesday, but I was thinking that he had the EV scope, and I thought it'd be great to get together and do some type of demo to club members between the two.
Yeah, he's been able to take some pretty good pictures with his.
Well, I did some looking, and yeah, it's okay for what it is, but it's an expensive way of doing, kind of marginal.
Well, for me, it would be a step up in performance.
I don't think so. I think some of the easier stuff maybe, but I saw some stuff like at M51 and the Veil, and it was really not that great. Orion looked nice, and I think the Ring and Dumbbell did, but you have to have pretty bright things, and I guess they're horrendous on planetary. So, but we'll see.
Yeah. Have they come down any in price? They were pretty pricey.
$4,000.
Yeah.
But I thought it might be a great thing for outreach, being able to just plop it down and it's done.
Yeah. What do they weigh?
I think unboxed, it's like 27 pounds on the little tripod and everything.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad. And what's the aperture on that?
It's an 80 millimeter f5.
Oh, yeah.
It's
that
a
should work.
doublet with that lanthanum, or however you say it, glass, which is
Yeah.
all that's really pretty marginal. So it's like a $250 telescope. So all the money is in the technology to auto align and plate solve, and
Mhm.
it's got that camera rotator in it a little bit. So again, it's a marginal camera in it, but at least it's I think it's more like a planetary camera, because the exposures you can do are, I think, only like 15 seconds long. But I'm hoping next month maybe to do a presentation on it, and weather pending, it'd be very cool to set it up outside and let it rip.
Mhm. Dr. Byron,
Hi, Al. How are you?
good. Been doing any observing lately?
No. Batting around the idea of buying a modified camera.
Yeah.
A new one, or are you going to grab one off of Cloudy Nights when they come up?
CN, I'm going to stick with the T3i. There's a couple on here. There's one that's not modified. I've been watching videos, and I'm half tempted to buy it and do it myself.
Well, you're the man that can do it. I mean, I would never attempt it, but then again, we were just talking about me breaking plates because I don't have carpet in my kitchen anymore.
You don't have carpet in your kitchen.
No, we used to. We got rid of carpet a couple years ago, but so now we got ceramic. So, but like I said, I can barely hold on to a plate, let alone a scalpel to take off that little doohink.
Dr. Rusty San.
Rusty,
Greetings, gentlemen.
Hey, Rusty.
yeah.
After evening.
After evening.
Night.
Anybody hear how Terry's doing?
Yeah, I talked to him, I don't remember exactly when, it was the weekend, I think, and he's doing better, actually.
Good.
He's been getting those infusions, to, I forget the chemical, the drug that they use on that, but it reduces the swelling in the brain.
Okay.
And so the swelling has gone down, and he's regaining the use of his left hand now.
So can they do that? Is there a certain number of times they can do that, or is it they can just keep doing it?
I think the infusions for the swelling, I think they can do that, as many times as they want, but the chemo, I think he's done with that. Actually, I think there is another chemo they could give him, but he told me he didn't think he was going to go for it because it's pretty drastic. But the tumor is not growing, so that's good
Good.
news.
Have they used his wheelchair ramp, or is he able to walk?
He's walking with a walker.
Okay.
He can walk some.
Yeah, they got the ramp. They keep the ramp cleared. That way, he can go down the ramp with the walker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they need it.
Hi, Mike.
Hello, how we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You always have a smile on your face.
Try to. Uh,
Depends how much money he's made trading today.
I didn't have to worry about that because the market wasn't open today.
Yeah, you didn't
Oh,
make
that's
any money
right.
today. You didn't lose any money today, so you should
Right.
be happy, right?
Yeah. I had quite a run going there for 6 weeks. I had my first loss last Friday. I lost $500, so I feel pretty darn good.
Good.
So I don't think I had one loss in 6 weeks. But I only had about maybe 5 or 6 trades, but they were big trades. Jeff, I got a hold of the steel place out in Eldridge, but they haven't got it back with me on a price for that half-inch slab of steel. I expect them any day to get back with me.
Yeah, I think for some reason, if I remember right, the first contact took a while, but then after that, it was like within minutes they'd reply back. So I bet you whoever kind of.
I'm glad you mentioned them because I had no clue that you could get steel there. Years ago, I got steel at different places, and I know my race car guys, they'd ordered out of Chicago, Chrome Moly and stuff like that. But that's really great to know, and it sounded like they could follow through with it today when I talked to them. So we'll see.
Yeah. Like I said, it took them a little while for the first reply. So I think a different department opens the emails and checks, and then from there, if there's an order, I think somebody else takes it because everything else was really quick. It was just that first email, I think, took them like a week to get back to me.
Yeah. So I think you said it was Trails Street or Trails Avenue. I don't even know where that's at in Eldridge, but I'm not super familiar with it anyway.
Yeah, it pulled up with the GPS when I put in there because I had no idea where they were at either.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a dead end kind of a thing. It's there's vacant ground all around them, and it's a little factory kind of a building, all steel building.
Yeah.
And, you go around back, they've got garage doors, and you back up and they load it for you.
Yeah.
Jim.
Hello. Hey, Jim.
How are things in Florida?
Hi, everybody. They're very good.
How many inches of snow have you got?
Yeah, we don't have much of that. In the last month, I think we've had 2 days of rain, but that was pretty minor and a lot of sunshine.
My daughter said today that it's for the Floridians, it's cold down there. It's like in the 70s, low 70s.
Oh, poor babies.
Yeah.
She says there aren't a lot of people out. I don't know. 70s sound pretty good to me. But 9 miles from her, that they had that tornado in Fort Myers yesterday, and I have a friend that lives in Pleasant Valley that they just bought a place in that RV park, and I sent him a text today to see if he's okay, and I haven't heard back. And by the drone photos, it looked like it kind of tore that place up a little bit. They had 110-mile-an-hour winds, and Angela said, my daughter said there was water spouts out in the Gulf, and then they came inward and ended up hitting Fort Myers. And that's the second tornado now in the last 2 months. They had one in December, and that hit Fort Myers, and also the one today or like yesterday. So.
Hey, Jim, I got a email note back from John McGill.
Okay, I saw I had an email, but I hadn't read it. Maybe
Yeah,
that-
he's working on our parts. He's got mine updated, you know, for John Deere Middle School, and he's working on yours next. So he's got
Okay, good.
everything that he needs, I guess.
All right, good.
Cecil,
Yeah,
how are you doing?
I'm fine. Playing with the camera.
Making us seasick.
That's because he's Cecil.
Well, we're going to have one nice day tomorrow, and then it's going to get chilly again, below zero at night. And on Saturday morning, the farm weather guy on Channel 6 at 5:30 or whenever it is, said that going into between sometime towards the end of this month into the middle of February, we're supposed to have below normal temperatures. So we'll see.
So I better not open my windows to let any dust out. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the temperature, I was wanting to get out to Wilton tomorrow night, but I think it's supposed to be like 120% clouds.
That's the cold front.
The
probably coming in.
mathematicians in me is shorting out logic circuits. Ron Mullen has just joined us.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Evening.
Now. In.
I've been looking at your two sun photos, Alan, and doesn't sunspots mean warmer temperatures?
You mean on Earth?
Yeah.
Well,
keep-
I don't know. Maybe somebody else knows here if solar.
The jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, I haven't heard one way or another if it's really significant or not.
This Craig Bryson, or I'm not sure I'm saying his last name right, but out of the Cedar Rapids Amateur Astronomy Club, he just specializes as a member in sun observations and data. And I think when there is sunspots, it's supposed to be warm. I don't know if I can find, I had a chart that he had, but it goes way back if I can find it in the pictures. But he's done a lot of research on that.
Well,
we've had warmer winter so far this
Right.
year.
I mean, it
Maybe
hasn't
there is
been that
something.
bad. It hasn't been that bad of a winter, really,
Right, so far.
so far.
that's
Those
not
spots are good.
necessarily the sun. Us humans are playing a role too.
Well, that's true. We're interfering with all the CO2 in the atmosphere.
I will say that there was an extended period from the mid 1600s to early 1700s where there were practically no sunspots observed for decades. And yes, that was the time when Earth was experiencing a so-called little ice age with temperatures slightly below normal. But as I understand it, astronomers aren't entirely convinced that wasn't just a coincidence.
It was called the Maunder minimum.
The Maunder minimum is also called that, yes.
Yeah.
But it went on for an extended period of time. It went on all together from start to finish. It was over 3.5 decades that they experienced that from minimum to peak and then back to normal.
More than half a century, yeah, as I understand.
It was significant. That's when they weren't recording a lot of sunspot activity. So sunspots are supposedly an increase in solar activity, which means more flares. I don't know if it has much to do with global temperature. I suppose it could. But it's when they don't see the sunspots, that's when they get concerned of colder winters, longer winters. So it has some impact there somewhere. At least that's what the cycles have been in the past.
It's possible. They're still researching it.
Yeah. But heck, back during the Maunder minimum, when that cold peaked, Niagara Falls froze. There was rivers that never froze around the world were freezing.
The Thames River in London, yes.
Yeah, they were having all sorts of unusual, bitter cold spats, and the northern hemispheres of any continent was, had a shorter growing season because of it.
Which led to famine and wetter, cooler weather. Some are saying that contributed to the plagues that happened at the time, around the time.
It could have. See, they even had COVID back then. Wonder what they did for face masks there. Horsehair?
Actually, at one of those, some doctors did wear those hoods.
The hoods?
Yes.
With the big beak?
With the big beak, yeah. Fill it up with some kind of herbs or something that they thought would protect them.
Oh, geez. See that coming at you and you're sick and high in fever. You'd think that was the Grim Reaper.
Well, they'll probably look back on our generation here and laugh at what we did too.
Yeah, I've been laughing the whole time.
Where? They grow.
Sense of humor.
Survivor. The Bachelor. And that's enough of that. And hi, Sam.
Hello.
All right, time to get started here. So, and meeting is recording. So, everyone, so did you get the agenda that I sent out yesterday?
Yep.
Okay, so first thing we say is that we've agreed to keep all meetings virtual for at least another couple of months, but I think we're talking about trying in April. What are we saying? Yes, we'll try a return to in-person meetings in April with the general meeting, location to be announced. Jeff, you were the one arranged for an attempt at the Doubletree Hotel. As far as you know, could that still work?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they approached me. I think it was either Thursday or Friday. The chef came up and asked me if I still wanted to do that. And I said, yeah. So I'll be getting a food menu because now they're going to be having meals every night there, I think like 4:30 to 10, which we won't interfere with that. But if the food is right and the price is right, if anybody wanted to get there early, they could eat and then go to the meeting. So, but we're not required to do anything, pay anything or do anything. And it sounds like he'll supply coffee. I will give them, I will give them a couple days notice though that, hey, remember, we're going to be there.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that'll be the April general meeting. What day is that again? April 18th. April 18th. We'll send out reminders as we get closer to the date.
Yeah, and we'll still do virtual as well. So it's not like we're going to do only in person. So if anybody's uncomfortable yet, we'll still be doing the virtual thing.
Yes. We should still do a test of the hybrid option, say like at the board meeting before that.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So hopefully we don't get any fresh surges between now and then.
Well, they said that where the virus had spiked originally here with this latest variant, that it's definitely starting to subside. So I think that we've reached the peak and now it's gonna be less of a threat. Let's put it that way.
So either precautions are working, or as I read in a recent newspaper article, someone's saying that the virus is simply running out of new people to infect.
Yeah.
All right. Two different sets of notes here I got. All right. Past events. We had a public night scheduled at the Wilton Observatory on January 8th. That unfortunately had to be postponed. Jeff, any word on when it might be rescheduled?
No. And mainly, I finally, they kind of learned that it's very weather dependent, and winter is a very poor time of year to try to schedule something. I let them know that it's not very good for stakeholders to keep on getting cancellation notices. So I might have a private open for those folks, and I'll let everybody know it won't be bringing any gear or anything. It'd probably be inside the school, and I'd demo the unit to them. But of course, club members showing up would be great, because again, we might be able to have a good show and have them decide that they can throw some money our way too. So, but anyway, I'll keep everybody posted on when that is. They talked about January 22nd, and I think that was the date I told them that, they had a full moon out and it'd be a bad night to do that. And then, of course, looking at the weather, it's probably not going to be all that great either. So.
All right. Sounds good. And upcoming events, we have another public night scheduled for February 5th. Weather permitting, that will be at the Menke Observatory, and we'll have a virtual component to that. Internet permitted at either the observatory, or if weather does not permit, we'll.
That's a QCAS one, right? Not a St. Ambrose one, right?
QCAS, right. Yes, Ambrose ones don't start until April. But yeah, the February one, that's a QCAS. We'll just keep an eye out on the weather and see what happens. And then the next major club outing is the Messier Marathon. We've got the Messier Marathon scheduled for April 2nd this year. Any particular reason that mid-March wasn't going to work?
I think that we had moon problems. And then I think the dates kind of shifted a little bit. So again, I check the internet on that and get the window that they talk about. And then I pick the new moon in that window.
Okay. All right, so of course we'll talk more about that as we get close to the date. Actually, we're talking about having the subject of a meeting presentation. Or,
I'm thinking there's might be a presentation on some new gear for February, and then maybe the March presentation will be on the Messier marathon and things like the order to see the objects and what to expect and some things like that.
that sounds good. Let's see. Any questions about upcoming events? Steve? Hi.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, anybody bought some new gear recently?
Well, I did buy a 40 millimeter TV Plossyl. When I bought my solar equipment, it said that from a 40 to a 25 millimeter TV Plossyl was best. And the people I bought it from said the 40 would be best. But at that time, very few, it's like nobody had a 40. So I bought a 32, and the images with the 32, I think are pretty awful. So I did buy a 40. I haven't had a chance to try it out because it's been too cold. Because you have to heat everything up to get it to work. I haven't had a chance to try it yet with the 40. So I did just buy that. And even though this isn't necessarily astronomy equipment, I did just buy a used, but almost mint condition, 600 millimeter f5.6 Nicor. I figured it could use on the planets or, some other things. So those are the last things that I got. I bought that Nikon lens from a dealer in Japan. And I say, if you're going to buy that kind of stuff, buy it in Japan. Don't buy it from a U.S. dealer, because you'll get a lot better deal on a better piece of equipment. Well, that's all I've gotten.
Anyone else?
Well, I bought another telescope, but I don't want to talk about it until it comes in. It's supposed to be here Wednesday. So next club meeting, I'll talk about what it is and any experiences I have with it.
Okay. Anyone else? Anybody looking to sell any gear?
Yeah, if the new scope doesn't turn out well.
Well, I might be in the possibility of selling my C90 if someone would be interested in a C90. Because I probably won't use it very much with all the other stuff that I've got. I primarily use it as a 1,000 millimeter telephoto lens anyway. So I do have a C90. That's- Anybody interested in that?
Anyone else?
I know that Howard Cox a month or so ago had mentioned to me that in the future, he thought he'd be selling his 8-inch LX200 and an older camera. And, I told him, we do this at every one of the meetings, give people an opportunity to showcase whatever they have. And then, of course, I also told him about some of the internet sites, but we haven't seen Howard log in to the Zoom meeting. So maybe in the future he will.
Let him know he's welcome.
Sure. Well, at one time he said he got a new webcam that would allow him to do this, but
I think maybe it isn't working.
I don't know, or if he just forgets when the club meetings are or what happens.
Yeah. I once gave my parents an old webcam of mine, and it turned out to have a little bit of a compatibility issue with their older computer. So it took some, you had to do some funny little procedures in order to make it work. So it'll be something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does he live out in Muscatine?
No, he lives in Clinton.
Maybe I'll drop him an email and see how he's doing and offer to stop by and help him hook it up.
Oh,
Because
sure.
maybe I can bring my laptop and sit right next to him and we can do a side by side, so he can practice doing it.
Yeah, okay. That'd be great.
I haven't talked to him in a long time anyway, so I should say hi.
Yeah, we saw him this fall when he was helping us clean out the roll-off observatory at Sherman.
All right, anything else? Is that me? Anything else? Okay, let's see what's next on the agenda here. Presentation. So I used to listen regularly to this podcast called Astronomy Cast. It's here, let me share my screen. It's got its own website here. Let me share it here. So this is the website, astronomycast.com. So you can either listen to them here or you could subscribe to them if you're into that with podcasts. And excuse me. So it's a weekly podcast about astronomy. It's co-hosted by Fraser Kane, who is the publisher of another website called universetoday.com, which is a news site for astronomy, which I also frequent regularly. And the other co-host is Dr. Pamela Gay of the Planetary Science Institute. So once a week, they put on this podcast which focuses on some particular topic in astronomy. You can see what the latest podcast is right now. It's on the terrestrial planets. But as an example, I thought I'd show you the one we listened to one just before that, which is an end of the year, which is a review of astronomical and space exploration events of 2021 and a preview of 2022. The podcast itself is about 30 to 40 minutes long. but they also allow you to look up, if I got it here. Yes, they also do a live presentation on YouTube on Fridays. This is basically the raw form of the podcast before they edited it for audio. And this has a lot of extra length to it. It starts out with a few minutes of them like just talking to each other before the program. And then afterwards, if I remember, they offer like a Q&A for YouTubers who do watch it live and send text questions. But for tonight, let me bring up so this is basically the edited form. It's just the cast itself. So well, if you don't hear anything, let me know. I've never tried doing this during one of these Zoom meetings. So let's see how it works.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
I think that when you share a screen, there's a separate kind of share to share audio and video. It's a different type of share, but it's in the same.
You're not hearing anything?
No, but like I said, there's one that says share audio and video or something like that.
Let me see. Stop sharing this for a minute. Share sound. Let's try that.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
All right.
It's there. Maybe you can maximize that video.
This? Well,
Astronomy Cast, episode
That's better.
625, 2021 wrap up. Looking forward to 2022.
It's not showing the video.
There's no video with
where we help
podcast.
you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser Kane, publisher of Universe Today. With me, as always, is Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of Cosmic Quest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I am doing well. It is a weird year, and it just keeps staying weird. So we're going to do a retrospective on the weird and look ahead to the weird, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I hoarded all the weather weirdness earlier in the year, and you came in with fury sort of just in the last couple of weeks with a tornado tearing your town apart.
Yeah.
Glad you were safe.
Yeah, we were completely fine. All of my friends completely fine. Just a whole lot of mess to clean up.
Yeah.
And we had a high wind event afterwards that blew most of the mess away. So,
right.
Sorry, everyone east of us.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. I mean, you had an Amazon warehouse sort of demolished in your town, but there's just this scar across, I think it's
Kentucky.
400 kilometers, where the storm passed and unleashed, I think, 70 separate tornado events in the area. At least 100 dead, hundreds injured. The property damage is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad that you and Kyle and your family and your friends and everybody working with you got through this unharmed. And
I should point out that this particular podcast is dated December 20th, so it was a lot closer to that extreme round of storms that the Midwest had. And they're going to be talking about the James Webb telescope, which at the time they made this hadn't been launched yet. Just a little point of information there.
Here's to a future, like that's it for tornadoes hitting your town now for a while, I hope, because that was pretty scary.
It's about every 8 years we get one. 8 years ago, we had one that actually went 2 blocks that way past us. And there was a Facebook post along the lines of, if you don't hear from me, here's where to look for my body.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's the Midwest. You just have to take it on the chin, I guess, and keep going.
All right. Well, so on that note, we've reached the end of 2021, and this is the last episode of the year. So let's look back at the big space events of the last year and talk about what we're looking forward to in 2022. So 2020, when we were just looking at space and astronomy, 2021 was pretty amazing, with possibly the best news happening after we record this show. So there's a weird little gap where there's going to be a giant uncertainty, and people listening to this episode will watch in real time. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll include that in our 2022. So what are some of the big events that you were excited about this year? Why don't you offer one, and then I'll do one.
There was a helicopter that didn't crash and burn the way I really thought it would based on my RC airplane experience. That little helicopter is just doing an awesome job. So here I'm talking about Perseverance and Ingenuity, which landed and are now traipsing their way around in a really cool floodplain and taking in minerals we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, Perseverance, I think that is definitely the biggest news of the year so far. Depending on what happens with James Webb by the end of the year, it'll launch. But Perseverance, you've got a twin of Curiosity, but it has landed in the most interesting place possibly on all of Mars, a place that is clearly acted upon by water for vast periods of time, and it is right in the heart of it, and it's equipped with this helicopter to prove that helicopters can fly on Mars this time around. Maybe in the future you'll see it doing more science work and assisting the rover itself. How great a job has Perseverance been doing so far?
It's amazing. The first rock it tried to dig into, it picked entirely the wrong rock, and it just ended up creating a crumbly mess instead of collecting samples. And I think all of us had a moment of, but the next rock it dug into, it was able to successfully collect the sample, and it's been collecting samples ever since. And what's amazing is it landed next to basically I'd say a no man's zone, but it's a robot, so a no rovers zone, I guess, that was just too hazardous sand trap wise to try and go through. And because of Ingenuity, they were able to successfully explore it by having Ingenuity cut across the dangerous sand to the other side. And it's a Disney buddy movie just waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, Perseverance wasn't the only spacecraft sent to Mars this season. We also had the Chinese Tianwen spacecraft and the lander, as well as the United Arab Emirates sent their Hope mission to Mars. Yeah. So you got a huge collection of spacecraft arriving at Mars at the same time. And it was great to see pictures from the Hope mission, but also this unique perspective on Mars coming from the Chinese rover, which is a different suite of instruments on board than Perseverance and Curiosity.
And I think that the news has largely ignored the Chinese rover simply because it isn't the same shiny, pretty pictures that we're getting out of NASA, and they're not all in the public domain. So we essentially have to wait for the Chinese scientists to release an image here, an image there. But it's out there in one of the geologically more interesting areas of Mars, near where we've been able to see with the InSight mission various quakes going off in an area where there could be, I wouldn't say active volcanism, but recently maybe active volcanism. And so we have all these different perspectives right now. Now, the one thing, though, that I think the press has picked up on is China still has their rover on the far side of the moon, and it recently spotted a boulder off on the horizon, which is one of the least scientifically interesting but most amusing on Twitter discoveries of the year.
Well, it looks like a cube.
It does.
So on the horizon, it's like, I forget how far away it is, like tens of meters away from the rover. And from that perspective, it looks like a cube. I'm sure when it gets close, it's going to look like a rock.
Yeah.
But so far, it looks like a cube. The other thing that's been incredible, this is a piece of news that actually just broke just in the last couple of days, and I actually think it's probably the most important piece of news that's come out of Mars this year, and this is that the European ExoMars mission has detected water, significant amounts of water at the bottom of the Valles Marineris Trench on Mars. Did you hear about this?
I heard about it, but I don't know as many details as you, I suspect. I personally have been doing things like following they figured out Sputnik Planitia. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the bottom of a valley.
Yeah. So the ExoMars was able to scan the regolith at the bottom of the. I forget how you describe the chaos. How do you say it?
The chaos terrain?
Yeah, it's this chaotic terrain near the Valles Marineris, which is the deepest valley on Mars and really the deepest valley in the entire solar system. And what they found was they were able to detect the presence of hydrogen and oxygen coming out of this regolith. And they calculate that there could be up to 40% of the material in this area is water. And so you've got down at the bottom of a valley at a place where the atmosphere is thicker, a large amount of water where you're protected from cosmic rays. It's kind of like the perfect place to go explore, maybe even set up some kind of long-term habitat on Mars.
It sounds amazing, and it really is starting to feel like the more instruments we use to look at Mars, the more different ways we discover water. It looks like a desert, but it's a desert the way Antarctica is a desert. There's still glaciers. They're just buried.
Yeah. So we had some other launches of some other spacecraft in 2021. We had Lucy, DART.
And those are really the big planetary missions where we can now look forward to in several years finally getting to see what these Trojan objects are leading and trailing Jupiter. Not at the same time. It'll take a while to get between those 2 points. But these are collection areas for objects that have come in from the outer solar system and kind of gotten trapped there. It's a temporary place, and so whatever is there hasn't been there very long and hasn't hopefully been dynamically changed very much by where it is. So that's going to be a completely new set of data on some of the most interesting and least studied objects in our solar system. And then DART's just going to go push something.
Yeah.
And this
For
is
science.
Just science. It's my favorite story in terms of just giggle worthiness. There is a perfectly harmless asteroid that has a moon going around it. And we can see exactly how long it takes this moon to go round and round. And we're going to give it a push with a spacecraft. And that should change how long it takes it to go round and round by about 10 minutes. Yeah. And so this is the kind of thing where we are in no danger. We cannot put ourselves in danger. And we get to move a rock, we hope. I mean, it could be an OSIRIS-REx kind of consistency, in which case we just go join the ball pit of rocks. But that's still science, and it's awesome. It's just awesome. I want to giggle every time I think about it.
So we had a lot of really interesting space flight happen this year as well. So the Chinese launched their own space station,
Yes, and
Tiangong.
they've had multiple crews go to it as well.
They had the first female spacewalk on Chinese female spacewalk. We saw both Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin finally launch human beings on a suborbital trajectory, which was quite impressive. SpaceX launched a crew of 4 out into high Earth orbit.
And they did science, and they were commercial flight, not NASA flight.
It really feels like 2021 is the year that space tourism legitimately showed up.
Yes. And it showed up to the point where the FAA is like, okay, we're no longer giving y'all wings. Because for a while, there were commercial space astronaut wings that were created to incentivize people going to space. And now it's just sort of like, and you get a wing. And with so many
Everybody
people
gets
getting wings, they're taking them away. Instead, you now just get your name listed starting in 2022 on a website. So kudos for spending millions of dollars to go to outer space. Here is your name on a website.
And I mean, some pretty cool names, like William Shatner went to space. The daughter of Alan Shepard went to space. Obviously, the billionaires went to space.
Yes.
Boring.
Yes.
And then you had the Japanese billionaire just flew to the International Space Station and is frolicking on the station as we record this episode. It is quite joyful to watch him play on the space station and have such a good time. I am a little jealous, I gotta say.
Well, and I mean, the poor guy basically bought the first Starship flight to go around the moon and pledged that it was going to be filled with artists and probably expected to be flying by now. And this is a reasonable second. It's a reasonable second. Maybe.
Now, what about astronomy in 2021? We had a couple of observational stuff, but nothing that I was able to reach. We had a total solar eclipse. It was only visible from Antarctica. There's a comet actually in the sky right now that could be visible to the unaided eye in the next couple of days.
Not yet.
Not yet.
There was Neowise. We have to remember Neowise.
Was that this year? Or was that the year before?
I don't know. It's all Blur's Day, actually.
I know, it really is. It's totally Blur's Day. But, I mean, I think that we got a lot of really interesting, a lot of great data on supermassive black holes. There was a lot of interesting developments in dark matter. There was some incredible imagery taken by a lot of these telescopes from Hubble. Like Hubble went offline and then came back online, which was great. We saw a lot of
that was terrifying.
Yeah, we saw a lot of great images. But I think the field that pushed the furthest this year was in the field of radio waves.
Yes, I do have to pause though for a moment and say, for a lot of people, it was the return of Aurora Borealis. The northern and southern lights finally came back. The sun is getting active again. It's only going to get better with time, but we need to acknowledge that mid-latitudes, when they didn't have clouds, we're actually able to enjoy the sky at night with beautiful, beautiful things, including Steve, which people keep saying they've understood. But you're right. It really has been an amazing year for professional researchers working to understand active galactic nuclei, looking for planets. Heck, we found a planet in another galaxy.
Yeah.
And galaxies without dark matter, pointing to dark matter has to be real and not gravity. The theorists are actually winning this year.
Astronomers have found planets of ever more increasing speed around their stars. They found one that goes around its star every 8 hours, which is pretty mind-bending.
And we've also found them at distances we didn't think they belonged at. There was a binary system that a massive 10 Jupiter-sized planet was found hanging out where it would be the outer part of the Kuiper belt in our own solar system.
Yeah, and you've got this, like a star that shouldn't have planets with a planet that shouldn't exist at a distance that we have never seen before, and it's all there. Yeah, no problem. It all exists. Yeah, but it's funny. It's kind of hard to now go like, ooh, let's talk about the planets that have been discovered, because there have been thousands. I mean, TESS has just been turning up hundreds and hundreds of planets. The Kepler data is still turning up planets, plus all these other ground-based observatories have been turning up planets as well. I hate to say it, but I now no longer even read the press release when someone announces the discovery of a planet. Like, I'll skim the title, but I won't generally go any deeper because there's just so many planets now.
I'm waiting for the one that says, and this list contains the 5,000 of the confirmed planets, because we're just edging up. I feel like we're 2 or 3 publications away from it. And being able to say that we've gone from 9 to 8 to 5,000 known planets is kind of awesome.
Yeah, right now we're at 4,884 planets known, with another just shy of 8,000 candidates. And of those, 3,600 are actually planetary systems with multiple planets in it. So just to think that we're at this point now in the process of knowing of so many planets, it's absolutely incredible. All right, let's address the elephant in the room.
JWST. Yeah. So one of my more on-brand tweets that I spotted was last night. It was announced that the press conference about the launch date for the delayed telescope was delayed. And as we went into recording this episode on December 17th at 4:30 on Eastern Time, we still don't have an update. Last we heard, there was a communications issue between JWST and its rocket. They were pushing for a launch on December 24th.
Yeah.
The European Space Agency had a tweet that has subsequently been deleted confirming launch on the 24th. Rumors on the internet, because of course there's rumors on the internet, are that NASA wanted a big announcement and ESA just jumped the gun. But NASA needs to read the room. We are done with big announcements. We just want news in real time. We want past this pain. Rip the Band-Aid off.
I've been really enjoying the updates on James Webb. Like, we found out when the booster arrived. We found out when the upper stage arrived. We found out when the telescope arrived. We found out when they unboxed the telescope, when they mated the telescope to the upper stage, when they stacked it on the booster, enclosed it in the fairing. Like, every step, when it was fueled. It's been great to follow each play-by-play as we lead up to this momentous event, and there have been delays for sure.
And there have been things that went wrong.
Things that went bump.
Things that went spring.
Yeah.
So this is a Schrodinger's telescope. It may or may not launch in 2021. Once it does launch, they're calling it 30 days of terror. My guess is it'll be closer to 6 weeks of terror and a lot of strung out, potentially drinking heavily astronomers. I'm not going to the AAS meeting this year because plague.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really sad I'm going to be missing all of the gossip associated with this telescope, assuming it does launch prior to AAS, because I'm sure everyone's going to be trying to find out information that nobody has.
Yeah. No, we're not going. We're not sending anyone to any of these events. So we're going to watch it all online with the rest of you. But
Yeah.
here's to a smooth, safe launch of James Webb, and for it to reach its perfect orbit and travel safely and easily out to the L1 Lagrange point.
So as astronomers, we're not supposed to be superstitious. It's just one of those things.
Yep.
But my great-grandma always said, and she ended up having to elope, so I'm going to go with this. Great-grandma always said, a bad wedding leads to a good marriage. And here I'm really hoping that a bad mission prep really leads to an excellent science mission.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's cast our eyes forward now into 2022. And what are some events that you are looking forward to in the next year?
Well, so skywise, there's really nothing awesome going on. There's like annular eclipses and partial eclipses in places that aren't thrilling for the sun. There's going to be 2 lunar eclipses that we can see from here in North America, but just nothing super stands out other than the eternal hope for an amazing solar flare that does no damage but looks magnificent. Beyond that, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope, the Vera Rubin Observatory. It looks like, according to the latest information, that they're not expecting to be fully commissioned to do science until 2023, but I'm hoping that we're going to start to see more and more information coming out of it, with the science centers going online, with full instrumentation integration going on. I know that they're working on testing. I want to see that first, not fully functional, but showing that the system actually delivers signal to the computer's data. I want to see that.
Yeah. So some of the big events that are coming up, obviously the biggest one, I think, I don't know if it's the biggest one, but there's been a couple that we have all been waiting for. One is we're going to see the test flight of the Artemis. We're finally going to see the Space Launch System fly, probably in February, and it's going to be carrying the Orion capsule. It's going to go out beyond the moon. It's going to follow a trajectory that's roughly similar to Apollo 8, bring the capsule back to
so
Earth.
Much faith.
I'm just stating what we've been told. I'm not including my own criticisms and what I really think is going to happen. So that's what we've been told. So we'll see. And that, of course,
I read earlier today, it looks like they're going to have to swap out one of the engines on that. So.
Oh no. Okay. But still, I mean, there aren't a lot of things left to do. We've seen a full fire test of the whole rocket. We've seen tests of the capsule. Everything has been stacked up. So there isn't a lot left to do in order to launch this monumental rocket. But then, as sort of a completely different paradigm, we saw the test of Starship flying to 10 kilometers and then landing finally after many of its brothers exploded. And so we're going to see, in theory, we've been told early on in the year, we should see the first orbital flight of Starship, a fully reusable 2-stage rocket, monster rocket.
Monster rocket. These are amazing. The folks at NASA Space Flight, their tank watchers, are always out there looking for every little change, and progress is being made. The one thing I think we're all nervous about is there's rumors of Raptor engine delivery issues, but if they can get everything going and launch one of those giant boosters with a Starship atop, that opens a whole new era for space flight.
Yeah. We're going to see the launch of the Psyche mission, which is going to be sending a spacecraft to a metal asteroid, possibly the core of a destroyed planetoid. The Indians are going to take another crack at landing on the moon with Chandrayaan-3, which is exciting. The last time their lander crashed, it was really unfortunate. And so this is another shot at, which I'm really looking forward to. We should see the first launch of the Ariane 6, which is the follow-on rocket to the Ariane 5, which, like the last Ariane 5 launch is going to be James Webb. And then we move into the Ariane 6.
And what has me excited is they're making such good progress at retiring all of the old rockets, both the Russian, Soviet-designed ones that had a lot of hydrazine fuel, as well as the Chinese ones. And so we're finally starting to move to a point where our rocket fuels are a little less deadly. Mm-hmm. They have the side effect of they are no longer as shelf stable. You can't fuel them weeks, months in advance. You need to fuel them and keep topping them off until you launch them. But it's nice to know that it's going to be safer for everyone in the space industry to be working near these rockets.
Yeah, and the dream, I think, is to use complete reusability on these rockets. And I think that's, Musk has said that's SpaceX's plan in the future for Starship is to actually make the fuel right out of the atmosphere. We'll see how feasible that is at a large scale to fully reuse fully feed a rocket all of its fuel, but we'll see.
And an electron. They're supposed to catch an electron next year. That's going to be wild because they're using a helicopter to catch a falling stage of a rocket. All right, continue. I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
Yeah, no. And I think on that, we saw the announcement. This is back in 2021. We saw the announcement of the Neutron, which is Rocket Lab's version of a fully reusable 2-stage rocket. And it's going to be on the small end. It's going to launch 8,000 kilograms, not the 100,000 or whatever the super heavy and the Starship is going to be able to do. And so we could very well see, if they can pull it off with a smaller rocket. Now they're not planning that for, I think, 23, 24, but if they can pull that off, then there's no reason to not make a fully reusable 2-stage rocket at this point. There should be nothing else flying at that point. Well, you know what? We've gone on quite a long time, and I think we've run out of time. So I think we need to wrap this up. Everybody who has listened to us over the years, thank you so much for following us year after year. I hope 2021 was endurable. I hope 2022 is better, and I look forward to regaling you with adventures of James Webb in the new year. Okay, anyways. Moving beyond those thoughts, I do want to give a special shout out to a bunch of our patrons over on patreon.com/astronomycast. You allow us to pay Nancy, Rich, Allie, Beth for all the things they do that keep us organized and going and produce our audio, video, and web content. This week, I would like to thank David, Robert Wegner, Alex Cohen, Scott Bieber, Justin Proctor, Jeff Wilson, Matthias Hayden, Niall Bruce, Gregory Singleton, the Lonely Sand Person, Tim McMacken, Paul L. Hayden, Nate Detweiler, Kenneth Ryan, Cooper, Paul D. Disney, Stephen Shewater, Alex Rain, Benjamin Mueller, Karthik Vekatraman, Omar Del Riviero, Don Mundus, Michael Regan, Dean McDaniel, Janelle Duncan, Aaron Segrev, Mark Whittick, Ninja Nick, Bung Man McBluntsmoke, Moose and Deer, Jeremy Kerwin, Matt Rucker, J. Alex Anderson, Abraham Cotrell, Michelle Cullen, Jim McGeehan, Anti-User, Bruce Amazine, Shearson, it's a whole lot of letters. John from the Tenenbaum, Dwight Ilk, Dustin Ralph, Philip Grand, Father Prax, Mark Stephen Raznak, GeForce 184, Brent Nearnop, Rachel Fry, Kimberly Reich, and Gabriel Galfin. Thanks, all of you, so much, especially those of you with pronounceable fun names. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye. Astronomy Cast is a joint product of Universe Today and the Planetary Science Institute. Astronomy Cast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution license. So love it, share it, and remix it. But please credit it to our hosts, Fraser Kane and Dr. Pamela Gay. You can get more information on today's show topic on our website, astronomycast.com. This episode was brought to you thanks to our generous patrons on Patreon. If you want to help keep this show going, please consider joining our community at patreon.com/astronomycast. Not only do you help us pay our producers a fair wage, you will also get special access to content right in your inbox and invites to online events. We are so grateful to all of you who have joined our Patreon community already. Anyways, keep looking up. This has been Astronomy Cast.
It was only after I started playing this that I remembered what happened in every class I've been, every lecture I've been in when the teacher just plays a video. Anybody still awake out there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the podcast has no video to it, but the live YouTube presentation does. Although in all fairness, that video is nothing more than a Zoom meeting between the two co-hosts. So they were doing Zoom meetings before they were fashionable. And as you can see on the right side of your screen here, it's a list of, so they archive all of their episodes on the website. This is the list, this looks like going back a couple of years. And you see they're already up to episode 626 now, with 627 coming out this Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time, the live YouTube version. So, any questions about this? What'd you think of it?
I forgot about half the stuff that happened last year.
Brought up topics that data that I wasn't aware of. They kept it pretty simple, and it was interesting. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Looks like they just posted a new one up here. Mercury Revisited. So yeah, the edited podcast shows up on the Monday after the live YouTube version. So
I didn't realize all the planets that are out there that they've discovered.
there's a large number, yeah, but I didn't know they were getting that close to 5,000 now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the James Webb will come up with.
Yes, they're hoping James Webb is sensitive enough to be able to scan some of these exoplanet atmospheres.
Yeah. You don't think they can learn any more, and they just keep pushing the limits. It's interesting.
Well, that's one of the most exciting things about James Webb. It's so sensitive, we don't really know what new stuff it might detect.
Yeah. Now that keeps things from getting boring.
Yep.
That's kind of neat too. Reusable second stage rockets. I mean, rocket engines, that'll save a lot of money too. It's, and that's, to me, those aren't just the heavy lift of the first stage. That's where they go out and put it into orbit, and that's getting up there totally in space, and to bring that back down and save it and reuse it, that's pretty incredible technology. And then also the Starship, totally reusable, as big as that's going to be. That's, just think where we were in the 60s and how far we've come with the reusable first stage now in the last few years, and now we're even going to reuse the second stage.
Yes. What they were saying about Artemis, they're hoping to send it in orbit around the moon sometime this year.
Yeah.
First.
Test it out. Yeah, just keep it, definitely keeps the interest going for us people that understand what's going on. Everyday people just kind of probably blow it off in most cases, but it does keep the interest level up on what they're doing.
That's the whole idea.
So.
Any other comments? So that is www.astronomycast.com. I don't remember what the channel is on YouTube. I figure just Google it on YouTube and you'll be able to find it. All right. Next up, Sam, do you have the treasurer's report?
Yes. Okay, so as of today, and this, the general fund has $2,237 $1.18. The event funds have $327.30, and the observatory relocation has $39,547.78 for a total of $42,112.26.
All right.
Yeah, I haven't been to the post office since last Thursday, I think was the last time I was there. So I think I'll be stopping by tomorrow and see if there's anything else that I've been mailed.
Something else? Do I have an emotion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Byron moves. Second.
Yeah, I'll second this, Jim.
Jim seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Treasurer's report is approved. All right. Observatory relocation updates. So once again, congratulations on getting the club's dome moved to Menke Observatory. Congratulations to all those directly involved in the work. Are there any follow-ups to it?
Hey, Jim, did you want to talk about the Jen Wen's roll-off building, or did you want that for a board meeting discussion first?
I don't know what's best, probably talking about it at the board, but we could also just let people know. As long as Jeff has brought that up, the Clinton County Park District has said as we move out of Sherman Park, that they probably will not make use of the roll-off roof building. They do see that the smaller block building could be used in their plans, but the roll-off, they've asked us if we could demolish it or help them demolish it. And so, our response was, well, we'll have to see what we can do. First thing is there anything that we want to make use of still remaining in the building? Is there any wood or other things that we want to salvage out of the building? And if not, is there any economical way to get rid of the building? For example, maybe fire training exercise for the local fire department. So all those are just very early, just brainstorming ideas. We also told them we're in the middle of the winter. We don't want to do anything now, but once we get a little bit of drying and warmer weather, then we can see what we can do with that building. Anything else? Anyone else wanted to add to that?
One thing I was thinking that after John Baker and I got the dome building off the slab foundation out there, the only thing that could be a hazard that maybe should think about doing is either cutting those 3 or 4 mounting bolts off so somebody doesn't walk along their trip, fall flat on their face on the cement, or get injured in some way or another. Whether build a little box thing that can bolt down over those, or take a hacksaw and cut them off, or whatever. I don't know, but that has entered my mind that it could be something that could be a hazard where somebody could accidentally get injured if they tripped over them. And I think, let's see, there could be studs even sticking up, like 6 or 8 of them around the outside where the bottom plate was bolted to the foundation the first time also. So not only the big mount bolts that stick up, but those little 3/8 stubby ones too.
Anybody having a acetylene torch?
I got a cutting torch. I got oxyacetylene torches, so
That'd be the best thing.
take 2 or 3 of us to get it in my truck, but they're full tanks, the big tanks.
Jeff,
Weather clears, we can see what we can do about getting out there.
what were you saying, Jeff? You're muted.
Yeah, Rusty loves destroying stuff, especially with like flame and all that kind of stuff.
Pyro.
Look at that big smile on his face.
That was just my thought. I knew that when we left there that day. I thought, well, that's probably something that should maybe be done. I'd hate to see somebody get hurt and we just abandoned it and left it.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Mike. I know that one of the things that they said, they would probably make use of some of the concrete, certainly the telescope pads, and maybe even the footing for the dome, break up that concrete and then haul it and use it as rubble along the river or in other places where they want to fill in. And since they have some equipment, they'll probably be able to do that pretty readily.
So what happened to the idea they were going to use that for hunters?
Well, I don't know for sure. I can speculate that the building's gotten a little bit older and a little bit rougher condition, and they have a different executive director. He currently lives in the house there, So he may have some different ideas about whether that building should be used for anything, but that's all speculation on my part. And I know initially when I talked to him, met him and just told him what our plans were as far as moving, that I think that they were planning to do some brainstorming to think about how they might use that building. But then that was the latest thing that I heard, is that they didn't think they were going to make use of it. So they had asked us if we would remove it.
Right. I don't have any other questions about future construction, future observatory expansion.
Okay, hearing nothing on that, I just want to add, my praise to all the people that were involved in the planning and execution of getting the dome moved. We really had some good weather in December that cooperated with us, even though it took us quite a while to get the concrete poured and get that work done. We were fortunate there, and really thanks for especially Mike and John Baker, who really stuck with that. I know they spent a lot of hours out there working, doing the rigging and cribbing and getting that all ready so we could get it moved. But it was a really good accomplishment to get that next phase of the move so that we had our dome from the one location to the new location so we can show some of our donors. We were able to get that accomplished. We had an ambitious target to maybe get some type of foundation in for the roll-off roof, and we weren't able to get that accomplished, but at least we did get the dome moved over there. So, we got the 20-inch into Minky's roll-off building. We got the dome moved. So, I think we can feel good that we made some accomplishments this year, and then we can build on those into next year.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, I was going to add, we don't want to forget all the work that Jim and Mike did, Mike Dannenfeldt did, to keep the thing going and get the ideas implemented. And I know Mike had one heck of a time getting contractors and bids and, fighting weather and fighting board members to determine what we wanted to do. So, you two, incredible work. So thank you for you guys.
I had faith in Dan, and I didn't know where else to turn, because I'm sure there's be some small operator that would do it, but it doesn't make it easy when you got to drive clear north of Walcott to get somebody to go out there and do a small job like that. And I was always happy with Dan when he did my slab here about 3 or 4 years ago at the house, and that's why I kept hanging in there. I really felt like he'd come through for us, and thank the good Lord that the weather held for us. That was my goal all along, was concentrate on getting out of Sherman Park and getting the dome building moved. And with John Baker's help and myself, we pulled it off. And like I said, just thankful that everything and the weather especially held out.
We can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
For all your efforts.
The timing worked out. I wasn't super busy at that time, and John was good help. He always showed up, and boy, we really, once we got our mojo together and our ideas, we really clicked, John and I.
Yep. So the next thing we're talking about is installing the 12-inch telescope in the dome. So, of course, we'll have to wait for the weather to get better again before we can do that.
And as soon as we get a price on the steel, we can get started on the template I have, the wooden template for the top of those bolts, and I'll oversize drill them and get the 12-inch pattern drilled in that half-inch piece of plate steel as soon as we get a price back and from what was that? Jeff Raynar, yeah, you know, you're muted.
Yeah.
Supplier.
Yeah, something like rain or rate. I don't remember.
Yeah, I got it wrote down. They'll be getting back with me, and then I'll present that price. And like I said, if we can eliminate the shipping, then that'll help us, because I don't know what that weighs, but it's awkward. And like you say, it'll add another $20 or $30. And I told them that we can pick it up direct, so that'd be great.
And then after we get that done, we need to work on running electricity to the domes. We should really, we should have some kind of a grand opening for the dome, especially for the grantors who provided us with the money for that.
Oh, definitely. And also, you know, I don't know, Jim, with Carver, if you could send pictures out of our progress, even, and, you know, say this is what we're starting to accomplish, and, you know, just always keep them a little bit informed. Got to promote ourselves and do whatever we can to keep these donors impressed.
Yes. Now, what would have to be involved to run electricity out there? I'm assuming that would have to wait until the spring thaw as well.
Yeah, we'll probably have to wait till April. And as we talked, we don't have to worry about the septic tank system hitting anything there, or water lines, because that's well below frost or it'd freeze up. Just got to worry, and I don't think there is, as Jeff said, I don't think there's any direct line Romex to run into from the, and I got to check with John Baker to make sure that there's enough power that we can grab off of the Minky roll off, and it's about 150 foot down there, and the conduits in the concrete to run it in. But like I said, I will get a hold of see what it costs to get a trencher rented, and because it'll only go probably 2 or 3 inches below the ground, I would imagine. And if John Baker doesn't feel like he can do it, I've got an electrician friend that's retired that, keep our fingers crossed, maybe he'll come through and help us. But John seemed to be pretty smart. He disconnected all the power at the roll off at Sherman, and disconnected the power to the dome. So I have faith in John too.
So one thing I'd like to do there is see if somebody we can get out there that's smart enough to know whether or not the power running from the classroom, from the power box to the roll off, can handle more than a 10 amp breaker.
Right. Yeah, I know. You got to think about all that too.
Because that would be enough for the dome, but you know, we want to put pads out there, so if they think that it will handle a 20 amp breaker, we could put a 20 amp breaker in there, and maybe while we're trenching for the dome, go ahead and put in some electrical in the grass popping up in conduit or something. Again, it's all money determined, but if we got a trench out there, maybe while we're there, maybe run something horizontal to the roll off building halfway in between the dome and the building.
Okay. And any
Also,
thoughts? You had something?
Yeah. As it does warm up, and I'm thinking it's going to be into late February or March, to take and disassemble the cave mount the rest of the way. We need to find out what the big set screw is, an Allen wrench or what, in that counterweight to take off to get rid of that weight on the cave mount. And then also there's 2 bolts that go into the mount to the pier, and that's got to come off. And then we can get down to the actual pier itself, get that sanded down, and paint the base plate that's going to go on that steel that I'm talking about getting, and make sure we get it polar aligned somewhat close, and perhaps try to paint that pier and things, it looks really bad. And the actual bolts and plates that mount onto the pier, that's red oxide primer, and try to get that all painted and make it look a little nicer. It kind of looks really scraunchy.
Yeah, we want it to be nice if we've got a like a grand opening for the grand tours.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would contact Wapsie River Center before going out there just to make sure that you can actually get to the dome. I mean, given the winter weather, I got stuck in the snow out there once. It was over an hour before somebody finally came around and pulled me out.
So I was kind of thinking that weather pending, we've got our public open. I think that was February 5th, right?
February 5th.
Yeah. So, we'll check for that, and maybe we can do that bolt thing, then check out what size it is or what it's got going on. I've got some relatively large ones, Mike, in my car for my 10 micron mount. It uses some pretty large ones for the actual mount. And I had to actually buy larger ones than what I previously had. And I'll see how much difference there is there too.
Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt to take, because, condensation brings rust on and stuff. Bring a flashlight and look down in that set screw hole. And like I said, it's probably at least maybe even a 3/8 hex Allen wrench. And it might even have to have an extension, but also take some penetrating oil out there and maybe squirt some of that down in that hole
and
try to loosen it too, because that could be kind of if it hasn't been off in a long time, anything could help.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't freeze, right? Like WD-40 or penetrating. No. I mean, so we can squirt it in there and leave it set.
Right.
Just fill it. Okay.
It'd be good if somebody put it in there and then come back a few weeks later after it's set, anything to let that try to get down in there.
And tap on it again or something.
Yeah. And flashlight to look down in the hole just to see what kind of a fastener is inside that as a set screw. Any of that weight we can get off that mount, it'd be a lot easier handling it.
All right. Any thoughts on the new roll-off building?
I haven't contacted Dan yet because I don't even know if he's even in town. He might be vacationing of all places up north, but they got a place up north they go, and the family's had it for years. And I think they do snowmobiling and different stuff like that. But probably sometime in February, I'll try to make contact with him and see if he's still interested with the cement foundation for the roll-off for starters, and go from there.
Okay. So if I can tag on to that for people attending the meeting. So we're going to go ahead with the concrete work as soon as we can get Dan out there to do it. So we're still short some funds for the actual building. So please see if you can contact employers and whoever you can, friends and relatives, to see if we can get, every little bit of money helps. We had a new club member that hasn't even been to meetings yet donate $1,000. So there are people out there that will do this. So
how much are we short?
I would say we're going to need 10 to 15,000. We got enough to do the concrete. We probably even have enough to buy the building materials, but for the contractor we hire, I think we're going to be a little short there.
We do have a few more thousand coming in from Wilton and Mid-American. So, and I do have a little bit of ongoing, but it'd be very cool if we could get a little bit closer. What one of the plans is, and Dr. Mitchell, please correct me if I'm wrong, is I'm hoping that when we get the roll-off concrete work done, that we can get St. Ambrose out there, and maybe that they'll pitch in a substantial amount to help us finish the project up, because that's very close to being complete.
I could ask around.
Yeah, I say another 10 to 15,000. That'd be sweet.
All right, anything else on the subject?
I just, I got to think ahead too of a carpenter contractor, and Jim, we do have those plans from Scott Horseman, and that's great to go on, because you need a plan to kind of show a contractor what he's getting into. As far as, if, as I've said a few times in the past, it'd be easy if it was just a garage. It's the roll-off mechanism that's going to complicate it and might put some contractors in hesitation, but a good contractor, I think, can figure that out. And if Sherman's still not dismantled, they can go down and look and see how that roof is attached. But I really like the Scott Horseman plans. I like how the tail rafters and all that are cut and keep it kind of streamlined. And I think to keep maintenance down, if we use cement board siding, that'd be great. Asphalt shingles, I think, are going to be a lot heavier than a metal roof, but I would like to keep it asphalt, because then it would tie in with the rest of the minky structures out there. But you got the metal roofs too that look like shingles, but I think those are, you know, it might be lighter weight, but it could be quite a bit more expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good if we could price that out as an option.
Yeah.
A roof will last a whole lot longer too.
Would it survive tornadoes and derechos better?
Well,
Possibly.
I just want to try to stay away from the corrugated galvanized steel roof. That to me just looks kind of
Tacky.
shoddy. Yeah.
Okay. Next item. We need a new webmaster to manage our QC Astro website. Anyone here or know anybody who has experience with websites?
Anybody want to learn? Oh, Byron, that's not fair. Get up and walk away.
That chased him away.
I know. I figured that you'd be a prime candidate because you are very intellectual in that manner, that you look like a master.
Yeah, looks are deceiving, I think.
I would definitely struggle with something like that. That would be very frustrating to me.
Does anybody have access to high school aged kids that are into internet kind of stuff, whether it be a child or a niece or nephew? I mean, we don't have really a super elaborate thing, and it's not like they have to build it. They have to just do things that some of us are too old to learn, like updating a calendar and helping us get pictures and stuff online. So a lot of times there might be a, and maybe they can get don't kids now have to do some sort of public service type of thing? Maybe since we're a 501(c), them helping us with our website will qualify for their public service type of thing. Okay, so you don't have kids or nieces or nephews. How about grandkids or great grandkids? Great great grandkids.
Careful.
Since Matt took and set that all up, like you say, Jeff, I would think the worst is over. It's just a matter of being able to access it and go in and do it. It's not like you got to build the whole website and everything. At least Matt got that done.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. We don't do enough on the website for any one of us that aren't experienced to remember how to do it each time. I mean, you update the calendar maybe once or twice a year, and I can learn how to do it once, but for the second, I've already forgotten. So it'd be somebody that's got that kind of an aptitude, so that's why I thought maybe some of the kids, already do a lot of internet-based kind of stuff. So, and that might be a good way to get somebody else involved too with the club and what we do.
If you even found an outsider, and since, I'm trying to save the money for the roll off and other expenses, but even I wouldn't think it for a person that knows what they're doing and they don't even have to leave their house, they could access it and do it. Maybe you could pay them every 3 months to do it and not cost any more than $20 or $30, and it'd be easy money in their pocket, and the money we're going to save by just cutting the electricity off at Sherman Park, that $40 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got to hire somebody to do some stuff too, unless we got somebody that's in the club that has the knowledge and wants to move forward on it.
What about possibly one of the kids at Bettendorf High School in astronomy?
I don't have a problem talking to Chris Like and Ian Spanningberg to see if that's Pleasant Valley and Bettendorf, to see if they've got somebody that might be interested.
I think you're on the right track.
That's a good idea, Cecil. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Great idea.
What about Paul?
Who?
You could do it remotely.
Paul Seeger?
Yeah.
You have contact with them anymore, Byron?
I have his phone number. He's called me. Oh, it's probably been a little bit over a month ago.
I haven't talked to Paul in quite some time. I don't know whether, do you feel like dropping him a line and see if he's interested in doing something like that?
I would ask him, yeah.
That'd be great.
Would you please? Yeah.
Okay.
And then it might work right up his alley, because it's not like we need something right now ever. It'd be like, here's our new calendar, can you put it in within the next 30 days, that type of thing. So it wouldn't be like dropping everything to do something. Or, hey, I can't figure out how to put these pictures in here, when you get some time, can you do it for me in the next month or two? So
somebody might have to translate though to that webmaster to how the club wants it changed, something that's not a lot of detail, but somebody's going to have to tell them what you want.
Because he's
right now we don't have a webmaster defined in the bylaws.
Right. And that's okay, because we don't really, to be perfectly honest, Mike, I don't really think we know what we want. It's just that when we need something, we don't have anybody we can go to. And the only thing I can really think of right now is getting a new calendar up there for 2022. And I really can't think of anything else that it's like, hey, we need somebody to do something. Stuff does come up. I put stuff on the website. I post stuff all the time. Pictures, I forget how to do, but we don't have anybody that's been wanting to post pictures, but maybe Paul can post some more of his. And Byron, you've been
the other day.
Yeah, and you've been doing a ton of stuff, Byron. So, and Jim, you've been doing some stuff too. So, and Ellen, especially our dual members and Rusty. We need to start cooperating better with, making sure that, we try to get both clubs covered when we've got dual members. And I'm as bad as anybody else about that. So. But anyway, yeah, Paul would be a great idea. I don't know whether he's a current member, but I don't think they have to be. And we could make him a member if he, decides if he did that. So.
Paul Seeger isn't. Paul Seeger was a member.
Yeah. I don't know if he's a 2022 member. have a current list available.
Which does bring in one point. Sam, do you have a list of people who have definitely paid their dues for 2022?
I do.
I've got a proposal for that too. The Archaeology Club completely shut down over COVID for almost a year and a half. No meetings, no anything. And what that board did just recently is he gave everybody free membership for the 2021 and maybe even 2022. I don't remember. And maybe because of COVID, we ought to look at doing something to that effect. I don't know. That's something maybe the board needs to discuss further. But
sounds like a subject for a board meeting.
yeah, I think so too, because that might not be that great of an idea either. But
right. Okay, so yeah, Byron, you'll get in touch with Paul and with the proposal. Okay.
And what exactly am I asking him? The webmaster?
Well, just ask him if he could, well, at the very least, we need the calendar on the website updated for 2022 and see if he'd be willing to help us post pictures on it if as needed. And
okay.
yeah, if you want to call him a webmaster, if it sounds like too much of work for him to be a webmaster, just our go-to person if we can't figure out how to do something on the web.
Yeah.
You know, and
Okay.
he and Matt had a pretty good relationship. So, you know, I think if we said, look, Matt's not able to handle the task altogether, but maybe he'd be willing to work with you, or certainly we think he'd answer questions to help you out. That just might soften what he thought he was taking on.
Just tell him we need some help with the website. Would he be willing to lend a hand?
Okay, I'm texting him.
Yeah, don't add a title to it. That might scare him away.
That's exactly what I'm avoiding.
Yeah.
All right. Some people might think the title is enticing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any old business? Going once. Going twice. But for new business, I just thought of something that we brought up at the last board meeting. We're talking about it'd be nice if we could find someplace within or near the Quad Cities themselves for the occasional public star party. The idea being that closer we do to the Quad Cities, the more likely people in the general public might want to come out to it. Some possible locations were floated around at the board meeting: North Scott High School, Lost Grove Lake, or DeWitt or Walcott Junior High were proposed, just being they're not in the Quad Cities themselves, but they are in towns. So that alone might attract a little more attendance.
Even though these might not be ideal, you do have, there's a couple of places on 23rd in Bettendorf, below the hill. You do have the big park, and then there's actually a smaller parking area that's on the west side. That's kind of nice. You don't have much of the southern sky, but they would be in town anyway.
Riverdale would be open to use their park like we did for a few things.
Now, do we want to try these in addition to respective monthly parties at Menke, or maybe once in a while move one of our previously scheduled public events to one of these Quad City locations.
I think it'd be good to substitute a time or two. I think you might get better results. It's just getting it advertised in the community that we're going to be there. Website will have it, but if you could just get it out there in the community a little bit in the area we're at, you might have a lot better turnout than what you do driving out north of Walcott.
Any idea how expensive it would be to advertise in the local newspapers?
I could check with our publicist for the coin club because we do all kinds of advertising for our coin show and that. It's not cheap. On the other hand, a lot of times you can go on Facebook to some of the radio, TV, and newspaper Facebook pages, and they'll put a blurb in for free if they see it, if they got time. That's happened quite a few times for the TV, for Channel 8 and Channel 6.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, you know, to Mike's point is substituting, we've got a few nights where we've got a fairly substantial moonlight. Maybe those are good nights to have in town because you don't really benefit from the dark side on those nights. So maybe that's what we ought to do is look at those nights where we've got a quarter or half a moon out there, and then maybe try to just plan those for sure in town.
Good point, yeah. Could double check on our events calendar and see which ones fit the description.
Yeah, and we do have some of those on purpose so that people can look at craters on the moon and stuff. So
yes,
that might be perfect.
Yes.
You just set up a revolutionary imager and try to focus on things that are impressive looking, like M13. We're losing Jupiter and Saturn now, and then we'll lose the M42. M31 isn't real impressive as a cotton ball visually, but I don't know. Then again, Alan, I think, I can't remember how M31 has appeared with your imager on your screen, if it's more than a cotton ball or whatever, but try to impress the public when they're there on like M13 and things they can really see. I mean, they love the moon, plus the moon will be there in half phase, quarter phase. It gives a lot of contrast on a full moon. So, you know, things those people can relate to and ooh and ah a little bit rather than something that they really can't see or understand. You do a great job at that, Alan.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. You know, a lot of times, you know, we always have our Niabi Zoo sessions the same Saturday every month. And sometimes you have a full moon or a bright moon. Sometimes you don't. But it's pretty amazing what you can do, you know, with the equipment you have with things like you pointed out, like some of your globular clusters like M13, a lot of the planetary nebulae are good objects. Double stars, oftentimes open clusters. You know, even some of your brighter galaxies can still be pulled out of the murk, you know, from Niabi Zoo. You don't have to have a perfectly dark sky to do a lot of really cool observing. And anything you show people is pretty amazing because they've never seen it before.
Get the wow factor in there a little bit, something that they can really kind of see visually, or with the revolutionary imager hooked up, or like you do with your Nikon 7500 or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty easy to work with. You know, all the controls are right there on the camera. You don't need to have a computer or anything else to operate it.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can go to where the people are, you're going to gain a lot more visitors than if,
Yeah.
if you ask them to come out to some remote dark sky site that nobody knows where it's at and is afraid to go out there at night.
Yeah, I think we should at least put ourselves out there once or twice a summer
Right.
if we can.
You want to go where the people are.
Yep.
People are always saying.
Yeah, take it to them, because believe me, if they got young kids and it's late at night and drive 30, 40 miles out of town, that's not a real good plus for them. But if it's in there, bring it to their neighborhood, like Riverdale Park or, you know, DeWitt's getting a little far away, but, you know, one or two of those, you know, you'd be surprised maybe the people you could draw 200 or 300 like you've done at the meteor shower at Pleasant Valley Junior High School.
You know, and that doesn't mean we can't do something during the day for solar viewing. You know, we've got 3, 4, 5 solar scopes, and you can do white light also. We could set up downtown Davenport on the sidewalks or by the levee and have a bunch of scopes out there watching the sun.
Yeah, the people would be there.
Yeah, but we talked for a little while about doing solar viewing events at, what was it, the Lutheran home? Or,
Yeah. We were doing that for like Founders Day. And that was the June, something like June 15th. And
sounds
every
about
time that came about, we had bad weather. Three years in a row.
I got the perfect idea for solar viewing where there's lots of people that come every Saturday morning. Think about it. The farmers
Church.
market.
the farmer's market.
Yeah,
That would be good.
there's a lot of people there every Saturday.
There are. I've been there many times.
Yeah.
And there's some grass areas we could set up around the parking lot so they'd see us and we'd be out of the way. So it's not like, you know.
Yeah, because I think if you'd set up inside the farmer's market, they charge you a fee to set up. I'm not sure how that works, but if you did it outside in the park and had a sign or something, and it'd probably draw some people over there.
Right.
I'm just thinking of events where people are gathered to do that brings people out, and yet you can kind of benefit as a secondary program for them.
Well, we could get really bold and sit up in front of the fairgrounds during the fair.
Yeah.
I think we're one of the sideshows.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay too.
That'd be another public spot you guys could use too, is the fairgrounds. You go there some evening and, or even during the day. No, not necessarily. in the fair.
The Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds?
Yeah. And there's lots of room. And it's right in the middle of town.
But we have to pay to set up there?
I think it depends on what we're doing. We could contact them and see. I mean, we're not charging for the event. And we are a nonprofit. Maybe they would, you know, say, yeah, well, we've got this little event going on there. Why don't you just tag along with them? Maybe we could get a hold of Quad City Cruisers and do something while they've got a car show going on.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can't get that. Them places bring a lot of people out.
Several ideas worth looking into.
The coin show this year, it's April 2nd or 3rd. It's a Sunday. And we're at the Camden Center in Mullen. And we usually have 300, 400, 500 people come through during the day for that too. And there's all kinds of grassed areas there. And plenty of parking.
Maybe it'd be good to substitute it. Well, then you get away from Astronomy Day in May. But I was going to say, maybe instead of going to Bettendorf High School all the time, go to one of these other places for Astronomy Day.
The good thing about Bendorf is they've got their
Planetarium.
planetarium, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's true. You don't want to take away from them either.
There's other things that we can do. It's not like we have to take one away. We'll just add another one.
Mhm.
I like the idea of doing something out at North Scott because that's, should be fairly dark there.
Yeah, and just advertise it in the school and in Eldridge area.
Maybe we can do a solar one during the day, either at North High School or Davenport Central, where it doesn't matter if it's dark skies or not.
Mhm. If there's any transits of Mercury or Venus coming up, those would be really good draws too, other than white light and sunspots.
Yeah.
Transit of Mercury. Ha.
I don't know when the next one is.
2032.
Oh, that's a ways away.
Well, we got plenty of time to prepare.
Yeah. And I think the Venus one would be even further out.
But I think it's going to rain. Even for the solar ones, I still think it'd be cool. We print out a whole bunch of those little pages where we've got circles on there and let them sketch it. Say, hey, look at it and draw where the sunspots are.
I would love to be able to do that with my class during one of our astronomy labs, but the sun is not. Haven't been able to do that for years because the sun hasn't cooperated. Yeah, the sun.
But it's very easy to draw that, though, Robert.
And you not only have the sunspots, which is something to check out and see, but also if you have a hydrogen alpha filter, the prominence. I mean, I was impressed the first time I saw that through a Coronado scope, a little one down at Starzona in Tucson.
Yeah, like I said, I think we've got 2 or 3 or 4 H alpha scopes in the club, and white light. Almost everybody's got that, and it's great to have them both. I set them up both side by side on the same mount, and so that they can see what the difference is, because there's a huge. They're both so cool to look through.
Have you ever tried that, Alan, with your Nikon to see the prominence with a hydrogen alpha filter?
I haven't tried that. I have tried to take pictures with the hydrogen alpha, but I haven't really had a good, good enough size image. For that camera. What I would need is a nicer hydrogen alpha scope for that, and one that would track and everything, which I didn't have access to at the time I tried it. I'm sure it's possible. Anything that you can see visually, I'm pretty sure I could get the camera to reproduce it.
Yeah. What about those cameras that are fitted 35 millimeter DSLRs for hydrogen alpha filters, and you hooked it up to like a refractor, with solar filter? I wonder what one of those wouldn't work.
No, those are totally different. Then the other problem you have with EAA and solar, and because I've done that before, I had the sun on my computer screen. When you image it, it's right there. But you need to do video first off. But it's so bright outside that it's really hard to see a screen.
Okay.
It's almost like you have to be indoors to look at the screen. Even when I had my laptop inside my little tent, my laptop tent, you kind of have to cover your eyes like this to see the image on the screen.
Okay.
So
yeah, you're right, Jeff. When we do solar observing, it works great with the video screen inside the PACMO. That works really well because people can then come in and they're out of the direct sunlight. That works well. Or you have to have like a big cardboard box or something that you put over your laptop so people can kind of look down inside of it and see it shielded. That works. It's not the best because you're out in the sunlight, but it can be done. I'm sure it can be done. little experimenting.
I think seeing the prominence, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Al and I and Dale, we did that thing at the Children's Center in Clinton. And we had a lot of, I used that H alpha that I got from Jeff. I was using that. And we had a lot of people who really thought that was cool, was being able to see the prominences on that.
Yeah.
And then
That was really good. And you know, the other thing that I think really surprised people is when we looked at Venus and Jupiter in the daytime, people couldn't believe that you could actually look at those planets in broad daylight. And you can if you know right where to point the scope.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. Oh, there's a lot of things you can do in the daytime.
In fact, I told somebody that the other day, yesterday, I told somebody that you can see Mercury and Venus. If it's a total solar eclipse, you can definitely see Venus if everything's just right, because it gets dark enough. And I said, there's such tight orbits that's why you never see Venus or Mercury in the middle of the night, because they stay close to the sun.
Yeah, most people don't know that the morning star and the evening star are Venus.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
morning star for Venus right now.
That would be a no from Paul.
Well,
I think you should go. You should contact somebody at one of the high schools, Bettendorf or Pleasant Valley, and see if you can get some techie student that wants to maybe do that. Maybe they could get an extra credit or something. But you know, Ian and the guy at Bettendorf, I think that would be a great idea, possibly.
Might get an extra member too.
Hey, this is quite a bit different subject, but it's on observing. I tried to look at Cirrus the other night to see if I could see the secondary star. You know, is that possible? Has anybody seen that? I know one would be tremendously brighter, but how difficult is it to see it?
Sirius B, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, the white dwarf. Well,
you should be able to grab that with your AP.
Okay.
The perfect person to ask for that might be Steve Sinkson, because he might have already tried.
Yeah, I just didn't know if anybody here, I remember 20 some years ago, one of our members asking about it. I don't remember now what the answer was, whether they had seen it or not.
Well, Jim, I have made the attempt visually. I haven't tried using cameras to do it, but I haven't really given it a serious effort. I've just looked a few times. I've never seen it visually, so I don't know how easy it is. What's the separation, do you know?
No, I don't know.
It's pretty close, I think, which is not good.
Yeah. You know, what happened is I was just looking around the sky in a light polluted area and I looked at Rigel and then I said, hey, Rigel's a double star. I guess I forgot that. And here was a real little dim star next to it. So then I said, okay, that's been successful. Let's swing over to Cirrus. And I didn't have any luck there, and I don't know if there was any hope.
What scope did you have?
It was a 6-inch Acromat,
What was the focal length on that guy?
1200 millimeters. Probably was working at a couple hundred power.
I just looked it up. It varies between 3 and 11 arc seconds. And right now, it looks like Sirius A and B are nearing their maximum separation.
Yeah, so it might be a good chance to do it.
Okay, that's a challenge for everybody.
This time of year, Jim, it's a challenge for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. 70-degree weather.
One of my favorites is Polaris, the North Star. I like to show people that one at observing sessions like we have at NIABE. people don't realize that's a double star too, and it's a nice one because there's enough separation there, and there's quite a bit of a difference in brightness between the two. It's kind of an interesting one, and they're very photogenic. If you have a fairly quick shutter speed, you can capture those pretty nicely.
A good suggestion.
I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. There's some really cool double stars out there.
I did about I don't know, 8 or 9 double stars using the grading filter to do the spectroscopy on them. I don't remember what all I did, but double stars are cool.
Yes. All right, let's see. Is there any other new business that we should talk about briefly? Let's see, our next board meeting is February 2nd. We should bring up these suggestions for in-town public event sites again. And then our next general meeting is February 21st. And Jeff, I think you were mentioning something about a presentation.
Yeah.
Idea?
Yeah. That was the 21st.
February 21st.
Yeah, I've got a new scope coming in, and it's supposed to be here Wednesday, so that'll give me enough time to mess with it. And if it's decent weather out, maybe I can broadcast what it's doing.
That'd be great. All right, is there anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Cecil moves to adjourn. Byron seconds. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
All right. Good meeting, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Lots
Yeah,
of
you
things
too.
to
Good
think
night.
about.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Hey,
All right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Steve, you still there? No.
Yeah, I'm here.
So. You got anything or?
No, I think it's just great. It's just, I mean, $42,000 in the bank.
It's just about, yeah.
I fell asleep. There's nobody left.
Yeah, we just adjourned the meeting.
Okay, well, it's great. I'm not sure how I can help anymore. It's just that I worked mainly on the 20-inch scope out there, and I got it over to the new building for you there. And then the dome's over there now, and
Yep.
looks like you're going to build a brand new building over there.
It's the
And
plan.
so Cecil's going to bring his big scope over there. Is that it?
Cecil has his big scope out there now.
Oh, what building did he put it in?
Nothing right now. It's basically he brought his whole trailer out there and is keeping the scope in it.
Oh,
for
I
now.
see. In
We're
the trailer.
we're
I see.
thinking about putting a cement pad under where the existing roll-off roof rolls out, put a little structure in there to keep his scope in permanently. Or once
Yeah.
the new roll-off building is constructed, we'll put the 30-inch in there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts of the whole thing, and this is just my own personal thoughts, is that, some people, want a whole bank of like computer operated telescopes, kind of like what that, is it Wilton? The Wilton, they've got like a observatory with a whole bunch of computer operated telescopes, and you could use the existing roll-off building over there for all that, and then just put the big giant telescopes in the big giant building, like Cecil scope and the 20-inch scope and all that. That was just my thoughts, but whatever. So you could have your own building of your whole bank of 5 or 6, computerized telescopes or whatever, and then just use the classroom for like, they want like some type of control room. Just use the existing classroom. So that's just my thoughts. That's all. So yeah, I just don't know how much I'm gonna be able to help you guys because you guys are way ahead of me now. So anyway, yeah,
Steve?
yeah.
Lost you.
It's just interesting to listen to what you guys are doing these days. It really is.
Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Wish you guys the best of luck. I'll see you next month.
See you then. Yep.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.